just minutes ago, Vice President Harris spoke at a news conference with the president. Harris saying insurance cancellations are complicating the situation and will make recovery difficult for so many families. She said she hopes something can be done to help these homeowners who have recently been canceled or non-renewed. What can be done?
So we are currently in the process of looking into this issue with our legal team. We do agree with the vice president. This is going to further already complicate a very complicated insurance market. But we will be working on that and hopefully have an answer to you in the next couple of days. As you can imagine, we're running, trying to get all this done as quickly as possible. But this is, again, a reminder of why we need to modernize our insurance market and ensure that the rates really reflect the risk and to make sure that insurance companies continue to grow and stay in California. And so, and of course, the reforms are going to continue. They're going to progress regardless of this tremendous devastation that we're seeing here in LA. And so, yeah. And, and the other question is, what happens to the folks who are not insured? So we're going to rely on the federal government and FEMA to offer services and the state to be able to offer some sort of reprieve for folks who may not have coverage. But right now we're in the middle of assessing, what insurance are covered in the area, who doesn't have coverage, who may be covered in the non-admitted market. So we're making those assessments real time. As you can imagine, it's difficult because the fires are still raging, they're still not contained, and so we need to get the perimeter of that fire under control so that then we can step in.
And I want to make sure that I'm clear. I think what you were mentioning and what Vice President was mentioning were rumors that we're hearing in LA that it seemed like a lot of people got dropped, non-renewed or canceled fairly soon before the fire. Is that what you're talking about? Kind of those rumors that you're looking into?
Right now we're gonna operate with data and facts. We are looking at what insurance companies are covering in those communities. We're able to track that. We're gonna see who's non-renewed. We're also looking at if you were non-renewed, but you're still essentially covered within the deadline, then do you still have coverage, correct? And so these are things that we're looking into and that we, quite frankly, are working on getting all these facts. So we're gonna proceed accordingly with facts, not hearsay. Unfortunately, as you know, this is a time of somewhat chaotic, and so there's a lot of misinformation.
Is it the case that non-renewal notice or cancellation notice has to come? Is it 75 days before the end?
Yes, when you recall, back in the day was 30 days. When I came in, I extended it to 75 days. And so the question is, if you have a non-renewal notice, the fire happened, you lost your house, you technically still have that coverage. So we're running that through our legal team to make sure, we want to make sure we're giving consumers accurate information. And we'll be having an insurance town hall to have these one-on-one conversations, and we'll announce that pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you. You announced yesterday you're enacting a 1-year moratorium on non-renewals and cancellations for people in the immediate area of the fires. When does that 1-year period begin? And is there anything else that consumers should know about that?
The 1-year moratorium is in effect absolutely now. It coincides with the declaration of the governor's declaration of emergency. That's how I wrote the bill. And so the last thing we want is all these Angelinos worried about getting dropped as they're trying to, first of all, understand what just happened, the trauma. And we don't want people to make these important decisions under duress. And so it's important to have that 1 year. It also gives us time to have conversations with the industry about rate adequacy, gives us time to negotiate and make sure that, we're giving folks some sort of reprieve. So what we want to tell consumers right now is obtain a complete copy of your policy, take note of any living expenses that you may have if you've been evacuated, track all the additional expenses. Again, document all conversations with your insurance agent and your broker. And of course, please be on the lookout for out-of-state adjusters who are taking advantage of people. So I'll just say, call us if you have any question. This is what we're here for. The magnitude of this devastation and just what the fire has caused. Unfortunately, we're not new to this. As you know, we've been in town after town in California since 2017. So we're ready to help consumers. We want them to call us and we're ready to assist them.
You mentioned, of course, the fires are still burning. There is still damage being done right now, and it is so early. But I saw an estimate from one outlet saying, losses could be more than 10 billion. Is there any ballpark estimate at this point?
No, there really isn't. And that's the difficulty when the fires are still burning and we still don't have, the opportunity to really dig in there and see what the losses look like, how many damaged properties, and we'll also have to include businesses in there as well. And so this is why, time is of the essence. We want to support our firefighters and then allow us to get in so we can start doing our own analysis as quickly as possible.
Related to that question, I'm thinking of our viewers in Northern California who aren't directly impacted by the fires, their properties are not. Is it possible we get to a level of loss where customers throughout the state are assessed by their companies for fair plan assessments?
Look, this is why it's critical to understand that this is a statewide issue. Similar to when we have fires in the Sierras or in Northern California, we are all in this together. And why it's critical that we have rate adequacy and that the rates are reflecting the actual risk statewide. I could have done what's politically expedient and held on to these rates like others have done. The fact is, we need rate adequacy. The insurance companies have to be able to feel comfortable that they have enough to be able to cover these calamities. And now we're seeing the importance. So now my job at this moment is to make sure that insurance companies, pay these claims out as quickly as possible and offer the services that consumers were contracted them with. And so that is primarily to do that now. And then we're going to get to assessing and doing all the investigations.
Last couple questions here. I appreciate your time. The FAIR plan, I know there's been concern about its solvency, its ability to pay out claims. There are a lot of FAIR plan customers, as you know, in the area that has burned. Is there any concern that the FAIR plan won't be able to meet its burden?
This is why the reforms are so critical, because for the first time, we're going to have actual data so that we can be driven by facts and we understand where the FAIR plan is and why it's critical that the FAIR plan be depopulated immediately. And so the reforms are in place. They're not going to change anyhow. We still have the assurance from the insurance companies that with these reforms, they're going to continue to grow and expand in California. And so we'll be able to better assess that now because we will have, again, that data. But also, it's also important to know that the FAIR plan, claims and those rates, they've been given rate adequacy as well to make sure that they're able to meet this moment. The last thing we want is for this calamity to cause any insolvency in the FAIR plan or within any other insurance company.
So just to be clear, FAIR plan customers who lose their home can expect to be paid out.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And then finally, I know it's so early again, but are you hearing from insurance companies? You mentioned a little bit about this earlier, but so many Californians are wondering, how are these fires going to affect the insurance marketplace that you have worked hard to help stabilize, but this is such a destabilizing event. So are you hearing from insurance companies?
Look, this is unfortunately yet one more disaster that that we have to overcome in California. The insurance companies and the folks that I've been talking to, are not going to shy away from these calamities. What their concern is to make sure that they have enough rate adequacy to be able to pay out these claims. And so that is what gives me the certainty that, one, they're not going to leave California. California is still the largest market, but for the immediate, I need to make sure they're paying out their claims as quickly as possible. And that's what I'm going to hold them to account to do.
Anything else that you want to tell folks?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Commissioner. Take care.
Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.